Tonight on First at 9 this Saturday the 22nd of November 2025. Fatal downpours. Ganethana landslide claims 6 lives, 4 injured. NBRO issues landslide warnings to 10 districts. Permit problems. Tests and scans at hospitals suspended over shortage of medicines and equipment, the opposition leader reveals. House heats up over government's failure to provide vehicle permits to doctors. Talk of the town. Government and opposition trade blows over yesterday's anti-government Mahajanahana rally. Government betraying political beliefs for power, asserts Vimal Veeravansa. Sailing for progress. Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs meets the management of Belgium's top port. Talks to strengthen Sri Lanka as a maritime hub through port development.
From Derana, this is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9 on the Derana News channel. I'm Aditya Adirasinghe joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. Brought to you by the only Sri Lankan media network to rise to the pinnacle across all media platforms. Recognized as the best by every survey and beloved by the people. On your top story tonight, 6 individuals tragically lost their lives after a massive landslide crushed a residence and a hotel in Hingula Ganethana off Kadugannawa early this morning. 4 survivors rescued from the scene are currently receiving treatment at the Mavanella Base Hospital. The collapse left both structures completely destroyed, triggering an extensive rescue operation by security forces that lasted more than 11 hours as they worked to locate those trapped beneath the rubble.
Persistent atmospheric disturbances brought rainfall to many parts of the island in recent days, with the Department of Meteorology forecasting heavy showers in the upcoming days. Yesterday, torrential downpours exceeding 100 millimeters in Galle, Nellore, Thavalama and Nagoda caused the river Gin to rise rapidly, leading to flooding in multiple areas. Strong winds sweeping through Nagoda brought down trees onto power lines along the Mapalagama Galle main road, obstructing traffic. Intense rainfall in the Mathura district led to the inundation of several parts of Deniaya town, disrupting daily life. Similarly, the Mathura-Kotapala road was completely submerged near Baddanwala in Urubokka. The Mathura District Disaster Relief Unit reports that 363 individuals from 100 families have been affected by the severe weather. The Urubokku Oya also spilled over at Katuwana, inundating the surrounding areas last night. The body of a 53-year-old man was recovered today after he was swept away by the waters. Clean-up operations were carried out today at a number of flood-affected shops and residences in Katuwana. Meanwhile, widespread flooding in low-lying areas of Bulat Sinhala in Kalutara disrupted transport and daily routines of the public. Amid the prevailing adverse conditions, floods obstructed students commuting to advanced level examination centres. However, the Disaster Management Centre intervened to ensure their safe commute. Incessant rains lashed across the country, prompting authorities to open spill gates of several reservoirs. Meanwhile, the Disaster Management Centre noted that 806 individuals of 209 families across 9 districts remain affected due to the adverse weather patterns. With over 40 residences partially damaged, the National Building Research Organisation extended early landslide warnings issued to areas across 10 districts. Meanwhile, at around 8 am today, a tragic incident unfolded the Colombo Kandy main road in the Hingula Ganethana area as a massive landslide collapsed onto a hotel frequented by travellers for tea and refreshments. A group had reportedly gathered there for morning tea when disaster struck. The hotel stood at the base of a steep incline with the owner's residence adjoining it. The massive rock first struck the house before collapsing onto the hotel below. At the time of the incident, residents, employees and several others inside the hotel were caught beneath the debris. Local residents, police, security forces and motorists travelling through the area immediately joined the rescue efforts. Subsequently, a platoon of army soldiers and fire brigade teams coordinated by the Disaster Management Unit were deployed to commence a large-scale rescue operation. One victim trapped in the debris was confirmed dead earlier in the morning, while 3 others rescued were rushed to the Mavanalla Base Hospital. The deceased has been identified as 31-year-old lecturer at the University of Peradeniya and a resident of Mavanalla. Rescue operations continued throughout the morning amid reports that approximately 9 individuals were inside the hotel at the time of the collapse. Later in the afternoon, after nearly 6 hours of strenuous effort amid the heavy rain, another woman identified as the wife of the hotel owner was pulled from the rubble alive. Rescuers were also able to pull out the remains of the hotel owner's father, who had already succumbed to injuries sustained during the disaster. Efforts are ongoing as a scan conducted by the National Building Research Organization confirmed that more individuals remain trapped. As a result, 2 more dead bodies were recovered under the debris at around 4:45 p.m., bringing the total number of fatalities to 4. Given the high risk and the need for uninterrupted rescue operations, the Colombo-Kandy road remained closed from the Ganethana junction to Kadugannava. Motorists have been urged to use alternative routes accordingly. The NBRO officials confirmed that a landslide warning had been issued yesterday for this high-risk zone. Meanwhile, a few hours ago, the rescue operations at the Kadugannava landslide site was brought to a close, following the recovery of the final 2 bodies buried beneath the debris. According to the latest information, the tragedy has resulted in 6 fatalities, while 4 others have sustained injuries.
ඔබේ සම හඳුනාගෙන ඖෂධීය ශාකසාරමේ forever face wash එකක් භාවිතා කරන්න.
අප වෙනුවෙන් කැපවූ ලංකාවේ අපේ අංක 1 ජාලය ඩයලොග්. දවටනේ නියම මිල සඳහන් ස්විස්ටෙක් නිෂ්පාදන මිලදී ගන්න. ස්විස්ටෙක් ගන්න ඕන හොඳම තීරණය.
Now, the opposition leader revealed in Parliament today that certain tests and scans have been suspended at the government hospitals over a shortage of medicine. He made this claim during the parliamentary debate on budgetary allocations to the Minister of Health and Mass Media. However, in response, Minister of Health and Mass Media, Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa, asserts that the opposition leader's statements are baseless lies.
862 medicines have been categorized essential as of now. However, there is a nationwide shortage of 131 medicines. There is a shortage of 218 medicines in the medical supplies division. Around 26 tests slated to be conducted at the National Hospital Colombo have been suspended. You are aware that the healthcare system relies on doctors. Vehicles cannot be procured even though necessary permit documents for vehicles are issued. The government's keenness to provide vehicles to the 225 members of parliament must also be extended to doctors. Off the back of these disappointments, doctors are migrating out of the country for overseas employment. I think he simply repeated the content of the document provided to him by the trade union. Half of that document is utterly false. We are currently resolving a majority of the issues surrounding medicines. I don't know if the MP used the information available on the website to collect the data. I don't know where in the website particularly that information was displayed. I use this website daily. The issues you raised simply cannot exist. If they do exist, share the pertinent details with us so we can look into it. I have one request to make. There are some officials who would lay down their lives to execute their duties properly. Certain companies might have shared the names of such officials with you already. I request all MPs to refrain from mentioning their names in this house as it would make them uncomfortable. Many employees of the SPC, the NMR and MST have been threatened with death. We have informed the Inspector General of Police regarding this. The head of the World Health Organization made a statement recently that Sri Lanka can be hailed as an example for a medium to low income country that has a stable healthcare system in place.
ආදර්ශයක් තිබේ නම් මේකට හොඳම ආදර්ශය ගත හැක්කේ ශ්‍රී ලංකාවෙන් කියලා.
අපේ රටේ සෞඛ්‍ය ශාස්ත්‍රයේ විශිෂ්ටත්වය පිළිබඳව
A statement was made in this house that progress and excellence of our healthcare system in the past 76 years was globally recognized. Those who speak of a 76-year curse refuse to acknowledge these accolades. However, the World Health Organization acknowledges it. That itself is enough for us. Wasn't this progress made in the past 76 years? However, at every election stage you claimed that the past 76 years was nothing but a curse. Why don't you provide vehicle permits to doctors, officials of top ministries, engineers and other professionals? There is a severe medicine shortage in our country today. This is a document pinned on the notice board at the National Hospital. Tell me if this too is a lie. This list depicts scans and tests that have been suspended at the National Hospital. Do you think this is a lie? Kindly look into this and provide solutions.
මේව පිළිබඳව හොයලා බලලා මේකට විසඳුම් ලබා දෙන්න.
දාද වෙනකොටත් වෛද්‍යවරුන් විශාල පිරිසක්
Large numbers of doctors expect to migrate. You urge doctors abroad to come back to Sri Lanka. Doctors in Sri Lanka, however, hope to migrate. If the vehicle allowance of 280,000 rupees cannot be provided, the government should at least provide them with 120,000 rupees. If the government has in fact saved ₹1 trillion and if new taxes raised an additional 150 billion rupees, then why can't this allowance be granted to doctors? During election campaigns, the president claimed that he would abolish permits provided to parliamentarians if he ever assumes power. However, he also mentioned that vehicle permits will be provided to state sector employees and doctors. What has he actually implemented today? Each parliamentarian is provided a cab. Meanwhile, 1,700 cabs are slated to be imported. We still cannot comprehend why the government needs this many cabs. How can you provide cabs to parliamentarians and not to doctors? Certain allegations have been leveled that these permits are being sold off. Those who make those allegations sell permits within parliament itself. When questioned about it, they say that they added it to their party fund. However, they have to sell their permits to do so. We are well aware of how the current government purchases vehicles, regardless of what the practice may have been for previous regimes.
විශේෂයෙන්ම මේ විපක්ෂයේ මන්ත්‍රීවරුන්ගේ කතා එක්ක
Statements made by opposition MPs imply that our healthcare service, which was among the best in the world, has diminished by the end of the year. I'd like to remind the House on misconduct carried out by members of the opposition within the health sector. There is an ICU which was declared open by former President Mahinda Rajapaksa at the Tangol Hospital on the 28th of November 2009 that is now in dilapidated condition. Can a building face such dilapidation within 10 years of its construction? What we can infer is that his relatives may have been awarded the contract, paving the way for them to line their own pockets through state funds.
ඒ කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? තමන්ගේ හිතවතුන්ට කොන්ට්‍රාක්ට් දීලා හොරා කාලේ වෙන්නේ නැති. මම කියන්න කැමති දැන් හෙට උදේ ඉඳලා රටට විගණකාධිපති කෙනෙක් නැහැ.
Sri Lanka will not have an Auditor General from tomorrow. An Auditor General retired on the 28th of April 2025, the first such retirement under your government. You appointed an Auditor General for 14 days. An acting Auditor General was appointed on the 23rd of April this year, with the appointment being valid for 30 days. SGB Chandana, a graduate of the University of Kelaniya and allegedly a friend of the President, was nominated to the Constitutional Council to be appointed as the Auditor General. He does not even have a day of experience in the government service, nor does he possess any knowledge pertaining to the audit protocols of Parliament. Since this seemed to be a plan that would not work out, they extended the tenure of the Auditor General by 6 months. According to what we heard, the Constitutional Council rejected a proposal to extend the tenure by 3 months. Therefore, we will not have an Auditor General from tomorrow onwards. What is the government strategically waiting for? 3 members of the Constitutional Council will vacate office by the 3rd of January. The government intends to drag this matter on until the 3rd of January. Our country has become a nation without an Auditor General. I kindly request the President to not conduct such petty actions.
මේ රටේ ජනතාව තමුන්නාංශව පත් කරුවේ මේකට නෙමෙයි. මතක තියාගන්න මමද සෞඛ්‍ය ඇමතිවරයා හැටියට මේ අයවැය විවාදයේ පිළිතුරු කතාව කරන්නේ.
Let me remind you, I serve today as the health minister who has reduced the prices of the largest number of medicines in our history. There were 350 medicines whose prices have never been reduced before, and very soon the prices of 250 more medicines will be lowered. The prices will continue to decrease. We have made a clear plan to ensure this. Moreover, the leader of the opposition presented a document claiming a shortage of medicines, but there is no responsibility attached to this document. However, the document lacks accountability. The document document refers to out-of-stock medicines at the MSD, yet there is no accountability. This is just a document. Another one refers to nationally out-of-stock medicines, and this too has no accountability. When was this published? Where was it published? And from where was it downloaded? None of that is provided. Only the document itself is presented. I have checked these documents thoroughly through our officers. According to this, the benzyl benzoate application requires only 2,050 per month. We have 2,215. How is there a shortage? From where did you get this document? Several of these documents presented by Sajith Premadasa are blatantly false.
කීපෙන් ඔප්පු කරේ මූලාශ්‍රය සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස කියන්නේ පට්ටපල් බොරු කෙබර.
Now, the opposition's Mahajana Handa rally continues to divide the political spectrum. Here's a look at some of the latest thoughts on the rally yesterday. When we enforce the law and punish theft and other crimes, those involved become uneasy. They try to bring people onto the streets and protest the government. But we are not threatened by any of that. The people of this country are clearly beginning to reject the actions of the incumbent government. The scale of the rally alone speaks volumes. The government may claim it was exaggerated by the media or dismiss the participants as drug dealers. But in reality, people came because they believe the path this government is taking is wrong. No one forced anyone to attend. Despite the heavy rain, people stayed until the very end. This sends a clear warning to the government. The public is beginning to turn against them. The political agenda that the people of this country once rejected was on display once again yesterday. The old political sleight of hand, including arak, rice packets and 5,000 rupee handouts, was on display yesterday. Yesterday was a day full of challenges. Electricity was cut off. Just moments after Nama Rajapaksa finished his speech, in less than 2 minutes, the entire Nugegoda area went dark. Even before that, the power lines to the location were unstable, causing difficulties. I also noticed foliage and weeds hanging on either side of the road, which seems to have been a part of the government's Clean Sri Lanka initiative. If there is a lesson to be learnt from yesterday, it is that a house divided cannot stand. When we listened to the speeches at the rally in Nugegoda, no clear message of hope was conveyed. Discussions about the rally had taken place 2 months before it was held, which now seems pointless. If a party wants to hold a rally, they should be free to do so. There is nothing politically significant to discuss about this rally. It only highlighted their incompetence. From what I understand, this government was unnecessarily afraid of this rally. Anurukumar Disanayaka, who came to power promising to create a new political culture, now treads along the footsteps of previous regimes. Hanging foliage and weeds and cutting off electricity are such cheap tactics. Many who were present at the rally yesterday have cases and criminal allegations against them. He should clarify that matter in the future. There will be an inquiry. The government must first look into the doctorate of the NPP's former Speaker of Parliament before probing educational qualifications of others. He was never a student of the Faculty of Engineering at the University of Moratuwa. That is a complete lie. There have been cases of fake engineering certificates, fake specialist certificates, and even fake doctorates presented by ministers of the National People's Power. They should first investigate these matters within their own party. Only then would it be acceptable to probe others' qualifications. Chairman of the National Freedom Front, Vimal Weerawansa, claims Sri Lanka is on the verge of bankruptcy again. Commenting on recent political developments while addressing budget-related concerns, the former minister claims that the government's conduct during yesterday's rally stands in stark contrast to the pre-election rhetoric on political civility. Sri Lanka is now at the brink of bankruptcy for the second time. I don't suppose there is any other currency anywhere else in the world that depreciates as fast as the Sri Lankan rupee. At a certain conference, the JVP's General Secretary Tilvin Silva claimed that one must keep adapting to ever-evolving circumstances. He infers that he has betrayed his political beliefs and embraced its complete opposite. Today he is neck-deep in neoliberalism. The contrast of the two ideologies causes him a great internal conflict. He says that an ounce of pragmatism is worth more than a ton of theory. He then goes on to say that people must adapt to ever-evolving circumstances. In hindsight, had this been their opinion in the past, then 60,000 lives lost would have been saved. Even those aggrieved by the 60,000 would be still alive today. Then Tilvin Silva would not have had to surrender to the army and drop his sack of weapons along the railway tracks in Vaduwa. He could have happily kept his previous job at a hotel.
Recently, the Deputy Minister of Tourism said that some flights were cancelled due to the limited space in the passenger terminal at the airport. He attempts to assert that tourists book their tickets after checking the space available at the airport's terminal. What genius talk! This is similar to the genius of Sunil Handunetti's brown sugar outlet. They think that we think the same as them. That is the issue here. Those affiliated with the government hung weeds and foliage to protest the rally yesterday. They might devour those weeds, but the people don't. They once claimed to be the top authorities of civility. However, they couldn't even tolerate a simple protest. True character can never be erased. The president recently disparaged someone calling him Little Hanuma. Why does the President of the Republic bother himself stooping so low to hurl such insults? They seem to be dismounting their moral high horse. There is no need to resort to fake social media accounts to sling mud anymore, since the same is being done on original accounts more and more today.
Fake account වලින් ගැහුවට වැඩක් නැහැ. ඊට වඩා original account වලින් ප්‍රහාරය වැඩි වෙලා තියෙනවා.
Do what you do, let the world look up to you. Shoot what you see, be who you wanna be. Search with a smile, create your own style. Gemini Live, make moments come alive. Be anywhere, rock anytime. With awesome AI by your side. Be anywhere, rock anytime. Be brilliant, be always intelligent. Download fast, stream it all night. One tap, move everything feel right. Snap it clean, edit like a pro. Smarter with Gemini, let the magic flow.
Introducing Samsung Galaxy A17 5G. The power to be always intelligent.
Musa Phoenix Natal Fiesta November 13 සිට 16 දක්වා අනුරාධපුර ස්පොට්නික් ක්‍රීඩා පිටියේදී.
Welcome back. Now in more local news, former Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe visited the iconic Meenakshi Amman temple in Madurai today, months after being granted bail in a high-profile public funds misuse case. He was accompanied by his wife, Professor Maitri Wickremesinghe. The visit was carried out under tight security by local authorities. Wickremesinghe and his wife arrived in India on Friday. The Madurai temple, renowned worldwide, draws thousands of devotees from across India and abroad every day. Justice of the Supreme Court Anthony Lalit Shiran Gunaratne swore in as the acting Chief Justice this morning. The swearing-in ceremony took place before President Anurukumara Dissanayake at the Presidential Secretariat. The President made the relevant appointment owing to an overseas visit which will be undertaken by Chief Justice Preeti Padman Surasena from the 22nd to the 27th of November this year. The appointment is set to be in effect until the Chief Justice's return to Sri Lanka. Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Employment Arun Hemachandra met several diplomats during his visit to the 4th EU Indo-Pacific Ministerial Forum, including Pakistan's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Senator Mohammad Ishaq Dar, to reaffirm bilateral cooperation. The Deputy Minister also met with the management of the Antwerp-Bruges port to discuss strengthening Sri Lanka as a maritime hub through port development.
Taking to social media, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Employment Arun Hemachandra announced that he will be participating in the 4th EU Indo-Pacific Ministerial Forum, which will take place on the 20th and 21st of this month. During his visit to Belgium, Deputy Minister Hemachandra met with Petris Ustub, Director for Asia and the Pacific at Directorate General for International Partnership of the European Commission, Brussels today. While attending the 4th EU Indo-Pacific Ministerial Forum in Brussels, Deputy Minister Hemachandra also met with Pakistan's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Senator Mohammad Ishaq Dar. They discussed the long-standing friendship between Sri Lanka and Pakistan and agreed to continue strengthening the close bilateral cooperation between the two nations. During his visit, the Deputy Minister met with several members of the European Parliament, including the High Representative of the EU for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy and Vice President of the European Commission, Kaja Kallas, and Frankie Demon, member of the Chamber of Representatives and President of the Belgium-Sri Lanka Parliamentary Friendship Group. Deputy Minister Hemachandra also met with the management of the port of Antwerp-Bruges. The discussions focused on positioning Sri Lanka as a stronger maritime hub through deeper cooperation on port development, green logistics, digitalization, training, and future investment opportunities. Strengthening ties between Antwerp-Bruges, Colombo and Trincomalee is expected to open new pathways for growth and reinforce Sri Lanka's role in global trade.
The Minister of Science and Technology Krishanta Abesena announces that the government initiated a program to convert old fuel-powered three-wheelers into electric vehicles. The government is paying attention to the possibility of installing solar panels on the roof or hood of three-wheelers to further enhance energy efficiency. Commenting on the initiative, Minister Abesena notes that converting old petrol-powered three-wheelers to electric vehicles brings significant benefits such as continued use of the vehicles with no cost of petrol. The subject minister notes that the operating cost is about 5 rupees per kilometre, adding that an electric vehicle can travel around 100 kilometres on a single charge. The conversion cost is estimated at around 800,000 rupees per three-wheeler. The minister further states that the National Engineering Research and Development Centre has already developed a new electric three-wheeler model. Welcome back. Now, according to the latest data from the Department of Census and Statistics, Sri Lanka's inflation continued to edge up in October. The National Consumer Price Index recorded a year-on-year inflation rate of 2.7% in October 2025, rising from 2.1% in September 2025. Food inflation saw an uptick, climbing to 4.1% in October compared to 3.8% in September. The increase reflects a modest but notable upward trend in consumer prices across both food and non-food categories. That's all the news we have for you tonight. Thank you. Have a great night.